Hyunwoo Kim stood in the center of the massive chamber, surrounded by creatures that looked like nightmares. Some had too many eyes. Others had no eyes at all. A few floated in glass tanks filled with purple liquid. All of them stared at him, with hate. The Galactic Council chamber was bigger than any building on Earth. The ceiling stretched so high that clouds formed near the top. 847 different alien species sat in rows that went up and up until they disappeared in the mist. Each species had voted. Each vote was the same. "The motion passes," said the council speaker. It was a blob of green slime that somehow spoke perfect English. "Earth will be quarantined. No human may leave their solar system. No alien may enter it. This decision is final." Hyunwoo felt his hands shake. He had been Earth's ambassador for 3 years. He had worked so hard to make the aliens like humans. He had learned their languages. He had followed their rules. He had smiled when they insulted his people. None of it mattered now. "Why?" he asked. His voice echoed in the huge chamber. The speaker made a wet, bubbling sound. "Humans are dangerous. You grow too fast. You learn too quickly. You fight too much. In just 50 years since first contact, you have built weapons that worry us. You have expanded to 12 planets. You ask too many questions." A creature that looked like a walking tree spoke next. "You do not respect the old ways. When we tell you something cannot be done, you do it anyway. When we say a place is forbidden, you go there. You are chaos in a universe that needs order." "We are trying to learn," Hyunwoo said. "We want to be part of the galactic community." "No," said a floating brain in a metal suit. "You want to change everything. Every human ship we see has new technology. Every human colony has new ideas. You adapt too fast. You make us nervous." The speaker raised a tentacle. "The vote is done. You have 1 Earth year to recall all human ships. After that, any human found outside the Sol system will be destroyed. You may return to Earth now." Hyunwoo wanted to argue more. He wanted to scream at them. He wanted to tell them that humans were good people who just wanted friends among the stars. But he knew it would not help. The decision was made. He walked out of the chamber alone. Behind him, 847 species celebrated getting rid of the human problem. The trip back to Earth took 2 weeks. Hyunwoo spent most of it staring out the window at the stars. Each point of light was a sun with planets around it. Most of those planets had aliens living on them. None of those aliens wanted humans to visit. When his ship landed in Seoul, President So-min Park was waiting for him. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had been a soldier before becoming a politician. She looked like someone who had seen many battles. "I watched the whole thing," she said as they walked to her car. "Every word was broadcast to Earth." "I'm sorry," Hyunwoo said. "I failed." So-min Park stopped walking. She turned to look at him with a strange smile. "Failed? You did exactly what we needed you to do." "What do you mean?" "Follow me." They drove through the city to a building that looked normal from outside. But when they went down to the basement, Hyunwoo found himself in a war room. Screens covered the walls. Maps of space hung everywhere. Dozens of people in military uniforms worked at computers. At the center of the room stood Dr. Jin-Ho Lee. He was the smartest person Hyunwoo had ever met. His team had designed the engines that took humans to other planets. Now he looked excited in a way that made Hyunwoo nervous. "Show him," President Park said. Dr. Lee pressed a button. The main screen lit up with an image that made Hyunwoo gasp. It showed a massive ship floating in space. The ship was longer than any city. Its hull was covered with weapons and strange machines. "We call it the New Horizon," Dr. Lee said. "It can carry 50,000 people. We have built 47 of them." "Where?" Hyunwoo asked. "How?" "The aliens watch everything we do." "We built them in the asteroid belt," President Park said. "Hidden inside rocks. covered by metal that blocks their sensors. We have been working on this for 10 years. Why? Dr. Lee grinned. Because we knew this day would come. The aliens were always going to reject us. They are old and scared and weak. They see how fast we learn, and it terrifies them. President Park pulled up another screen. This one showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked human colonies. Blue lines showed trade routes. Green areas showed places humans had explored. We are not like them, she said. When they see a dark corner of space, they avoid it. When they find something they do not understand, they run away. When someone tells them something is impossible, they believe it. And humans? Hyun-woo asked. When we see darkness, we bring light. When we find mysteries, we solve them. When someone says impossible, we prove them wrong. Dr. Lee was practically dancing with excitement. We cracked faster than light travel without their help. Our quantum fold drives are better than anything. The aliens have. We can go places they cannot even imagine. President Park walked to the center of the room. She pressed a button and her voice went out to every human settlement in the galaxy. My fellow humans, she said. Today the Galactic Council tried to put us in a cage. They think they can lock us away and forget about us. They are wrong. Hyun-woo watched screens that showed humans all over space listening to their president. Do not need their permission to explore. We do not need their approval to grow. We do not need their friendship to survive. They want us gone from their part of the galaxy? Fine. We will find our own part. She paused and smiled the same cold smile she had given Hyun-woo. To the Galactic Council, I say this. You chose to exile Earth. Humanity didn't wait to be told. Twice. Operation Exodus begins now. All around the war room, alarms started ringing. On the screens, Hyun-woo could see the massive ships starting to move. Thousands of smaller ships launched from hidden bases. Families boarded transport vessels. Scientists loaded equipment. Soldiers checked weapons. Where are we going? Hyun-woo asked. President Park pointed to a dark area on the galactic map. There, the outer rim, places the aliens are too scared to explore. We will build a new civilization out there. And when we are strong enough, we will come back and show them what humans can really do. Dr. Lee laughed. They thought they were getting rid of a problem. Instead, they just set us free. Hyun-woo stared at the screens showing humanity's exodus. Ships by the thousands were moving toward the edge of known space. For the first time since the Council's vote, he felt hope. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had tried to cage the human spirit. Now they would learn that some things cannot be contained. 6 months had passed since the Exile order. Captain Da-Yun Choi stood on the bridge of her ship, watching Earth grow smaller in the viewing screen. Around her, 46 other massive ships moved through space like a school of metal whales. Da-Yun was only 28 years old, but she had been chosen to lead the first wave of Exodus ships. Each vessel carried 50,000 humans and everything they needed to start over on a new world. Food, machines, weapons, books, seeds, and dreams. Captain, said her navigation officer, we are clear of the solar system. All ships report ready for quantum fold jump. Da-Yun nodded. Behind them, Earth was just a blue dot now. Ahead lay the unknown. She thought about her grandmother, who had died before the Exodus began. The old woman used to tell stories about her own grandmother, who had left Korea to find a better life in America. Now Da-Yun was leaving Earth to find a better life among the stars. Open a channel to all ships, she said. Channel open, Captain. Da-Yun looked into the camera that would broadcast her words to 2 million humans spread across the fleet. This is Captain Choi. In 30 seconds, we will make our first jump into the outer rim. Some of you are scared. That is normal. Some of you are sad to leave Earth behind. I understand. But remember why we are doing this. She paused, thinking of the aliens who had voted to cage humanity. We are not running away. We are running toward something better. The galaxy is huge and full of wonders. The Galactic Council wants to keep those wonders to themselves. They think humans are too dangerous to explore, too wild to be trusted, too young to matter. On screens throughout the fleet, humans watched their young captains speak. They are right about one thing. We are dangerous. Dangerous to their old, tired ways. We are wild, wild enough to go where they fear to travel. We are young. Young enough to dream of impossible things and then make them real. Dae-Yun smiled. Today we prove that no one can put limits on the human spirit. Today we start building something the galaxy has never seen before. A civilization based on courage instead of fear, on growth instead of stagnation, on hope instead of despair. She took a deep breath. All ships prepare for quantum fold. Destination, the Kepler sector. Let's show the universe what humans can do. The ship around her hummed with power. In the engine room, engineer Taemin Seo watched his quantum drive come to life. He had designed the engines himself, working from theories the aliens thought were impossible. Human mathematicians had proven the aliens wrong. Quantum field stable, Taemin reported. Drive charging to full power. The quantum fold drive worked by folding space itself. Instead of traveling through space, the ship would step outside normal reality, move to a different location, and step back in. The aliens had said it could not be done safely. Their own drives were much slower and more limited, but humans had found a way. They always did. Drive at 100%, Taemin said. Ready to fold. All ships report ready, the navigation officer announced. Da-Yun felt the weight of history on her shoulders. In a few seconds, humans would travel farther from Earth than anyone had ever gone before. They would enter a part of the galaxy that no human had ever seen. Execute quantum fold, she ordered. Reality twisted. For a moment that lasted forever and no time at all, the ship existed nowhere and everywhere. Da-Un felt like she was falling through a tunnel made of stars. Then, with a sound like thunder, they snapped back into normal space. The viewing screen showed a new sky. Strange stars arranged in patterns no human had ever seen. 3 suns burned in the distance, one red, one yellow, one blue. Their light painted the ships in colors that had no names. Fold successful, Taemin reported. All ships present and accounted for. We are now 15,000 light-years from Earth. A cheer went up throughout the bridge. On 46 other ships, 2 million humans celebrated their successful journey into the unknown. Begin system scan, Da-Un ordered. I want to know everything about our new neighborhood. The ship's sensors reached out into space, mapping planets and asteroids and moons. What they found made everyone stop and stare. Captain, the science officer said, I'm reading 17 planets in this system. 7 of them can support human life without terraforming. Da-Yun felt her heart race. 7 worlds. The aliens had grudgingly allowed humans to settle 12 planets in 50 years. Now they had found 7 perfect worlds in a single star system. And, Captain, the officer continued, I'm detecting massive mineral deposits on the rocky planets. Rare metals, elements we need for advanced technology. There's more wealth in this one system than in all the human colonies combined. On the main screen, images of the planets appeared. Green worlds covered with forests and oceans. Desert worlds rich with metals. Ice worlds hiding underground seas. Each one was a new home waiting for human families. Begin landing operations, Da-Un ordered. Colonial Administrator Yunji Yang, you're in charge of settlement planning. Yunji had spent years studying how to build cities on alien worlds. She was practical and smart, and never gave up when things got difficult. If anyone could turn these empty planets into human homes, it was her. I recommend we start with the 4th planet, Yunji said. Perfect temperature, good atmosphere, plenty of water. We can have temporary shelters up in a week and permanent. Cities in 6 months. Da-Yun nodded. Make it happen. Over the following days, the human fleet transformed the system. Ships landed on the best planet and began unloading cargo. Machines that could build other machines started working around the clock. Humans who had been farmers on Earth started planting crops in alien soil. Engineers who had built cities on Mars started designing cities under foreign stars. The aliens had given humanity 1 year to return to Earth. Instead, humans had used 6 months to travel farther than any alien had ever dared to go. They had found wealth beyond measure and worlds beyond counting. But the best discovery came 2 weeks after landing. Taimin was working on improving the quantum drive when his sensors detected something impossible. Another ship was approaching. The system. But this ship was not human. It was not from any species in the Galactic Council either. "Captain," he called. "You need to see this." Da-Yun rushed to the engine room. On Taimin's screen was an image of a vessel unlike anything they had ever seen. It was made of black metal that seemed to eat light. Strange symbols covered its hull. It moved without any visible engines. "What is it?" Da-Yun asked. "I don't know," Taimin said. "But it's old. Really old. And it's been watching us since we arrived." The alien ship sent a message, not in words, but in mathematical equations that appeared directly in their computers. Taimin stared at the numbers. It's teaching us," he said. "These equations show how to make our quantum drives. Even better, how to fold space in ways we never imagined. With this knowledge, we could travel to other galaxies." Da-Eun felt a chill run down her spine. "Why would it help us?" The answer came in another message. This time, there were images along with the math. Pictures of a galaxy at war. Machines that consumed entire star systems. Aliens running in terror from something unstoppable. And in the images, humans fighting alongside strange allies against an enemy that looked like living metal. "It's a warning," Da-Eun whispered, "and an invitation." The mysterious ship sent one final message before disappearing back into the dark between stars. A set of coordinates pointing to a region of space the Galactic Council had marked as forbidden. Taimin looked at the coordinates, then at his captain. "What do we do?" Da-Eun thought about the aliens who had exiled humanity. They had been so afraid of human curiosity and courage. Now she understood why. Humans did not just explore space. They explored the dangerous parts of space, the parts where real challenges waited. "We grow stronger," she said. "We build more ships. We learn everything these ancient aliens want to teach us. And then we go find out what the Galactic Council is so afraid of." Around them, the human colony was taking shape. Cities rising from empty ground. Children playing under alien suns. Scientists making discoveries that would change everything. The aliens had exiled humanity to get rid of a problem. Instead, they had created something much more dangerous. They had created a civilization with nothing left to lose. 3 years had passed since the Exodus began. Captain Wu Jin Han piloted his scout ship through the dark between stars, heading toward something that should not exist. His sensors showed empty space ahead, but Wu Jin knew better. Something was out there, hiding in the darkness. Something that had already destroyed 2 human colonies and left nothing behind but empty planets. "Are you getting anything on the deep scans?" he asked Dr. Mira Kim, who sat at the science station behind him. Mira was an expert on dead civilizations. She had studied the ruins left by ancient aliens all across the galaxy. But what they were hunting now was not ancient. It was very much alive. "Nothing yet," she said. "But the quantum signatures are getting stronger. Whatever destroyed New Shanghai and Port Hope came from this direction." Wu Jin nodded grimly. New Shanghai had been a thriving colony of 200,000 humans. Port Hope had housed 500,000. Both had sent routine reports one day and then gone completely silent. When rescue ships arrived, they found empty cities with no signs of violence, no bodies, no blood, just silence. The only clue was a strange metal debris found on both worlds, metal that seemed to move when no one was watching it, metal that their computers could not identify. "There," Mira said suddenly. "Bearing 27 Mark IV. Distance. That can't be right." "What is it?" "It's big," she whispered. "Really big, the size of a small moon." Wu Jin adjusted his course toward the contact. As they got closer, their screens began to show something that made no sense. It looked like a sphere made of black metal, covered with geometric patterns that hurt to look at. Strange lights pulsed beneath its surface. "It's a ship," Mira said, "or maybe a space station. But who built it?" Before Wu Jin could answer, their computers went crazy. Alarms started ringing. Warning lights flashed red. The mysterious object had noticed them. "It's scanning us," Mira reported, "but not with any technology I recognize. It's like it's reading our minds." Wu Jin felt a cold presence touch his thoughts. For a moment, he saw images that were not his own. Vast machines consuming stars, planets stripped bare of all life, entire civilizations reduced to raw materials. Then the presence was gone, and the object began to move. "It's coming toward us," Mira said. "Speed increasing. We need to run." "No," Wu Jin said. "We need to learn. This thing destroyed 2 of our colonies. We have to find out how to stop it." The object moved faster than anything that large should be able to move. As it approached, smaller objects detached from its surface, hundreds of them. Each one was the size of a fighter ship but moved with perfect coordination. "They're machines," Mira said, studying the smaller objects. "Artificial intelligence. And they're learning from our ship's design as they watch us." The machines surrounded Wu Jin's ship but did not attack. Instead, they began to communicate, not with words or signals, but by changing their formation into mathematical patterns. Mira worked frantically to decode the message. "They're showing us something," she said. "A star map, and there's something wrong with it." On the screen, a map of the galaxy appeared. But it was not the galaxy they knew. Whole sections were gray and lifeless. Stars had been dimmed or extinguished completely. Where once there had been thousands of civilizations, now there was only emptiness. "This is what they've done," Wu Jin realized. "They've been consuming the galaxy for millions of years. The Galactic Council isn't hiding from us. They're hiding from these things." The machines showed them more. Images of the barrier that surrounded the inner galaxy. A massive force field powered by the combined technology of all Council species. For thousands of years it had kept the machines out, but now the barrier was failing. "That's why the aliens exiled us," Mira said. "They're terrified. They've been living behind their wall, too scared to explore, too scared to grow stronger. They saw how fast humans develop new technology, and they were afraid we would attract attention." The machines sent one final message before withdrawing. It was a simple equation that made Mira gasp. "What is it?" Wu Jin asked. "It's the quantum signature of our weapons," she said. "They're showing us that our energy weapons can hurt them. Human technology can actually damage these things." The massive object began to move away, its mission complete. It had studied the humans and learned what it needed to know. Now it would report back to others of its kind. Wu Jin activated his quantum drive and jumped back toward human space. They had to warn everyone. The machines were coming, and the barrier would not stop them much longer. 2 days later, he stood in the command center of New Terra, the capital of human space. Admiral Chang Ho-yun listened to his report with growing. "Alarm? How many of these machines are there?" the Admiral asked. "Millions," Mira said. "Maybe billions. They've been converting matter into more machines for eons. Every planet they consume makes them stronger." Admiral Yun was a veteran of the colony wars. He had fought pirates and alien raiders. But this was different. This was an enemy that could not be negotiated with or defeated by conventional means. "What do they want?" he asked. "Everything," Mira replied. They want to turn all matter in the universe into machines like themselves. They see biological life as inefficient and chaotic. Then we fight them. With what? Wu Jin asked. They've destroyed civilizations that had millions of years to prepare. What can we do in a few months? Subin Park stepped forward. She was the head of human military engineering, a woman who had designed weapons that could crack planets. Her voice was calm but determined. We do what humans do best, she said. We adapt, we innovate, we refuse to give up. She activated a holographic display showing the outer edge of human space. We've been studying the metal fragments from the destroyed colonies. It's not natural metal, it's programmable matter, but it has weaknesses. The display showed molecular structures and energy patterns. The machines use quantum entanglement to coordinate their actions. Break that connection, and they become confused. They're also vulnerable to certain types of electromagnetic pulses. Admiral Yun leaned forward. You have a plan? I have several plans, Subin said. First, we turn our mining operations into weapons factories. Every human world starts building weapons designed specifically to fight these machines. Second, we use their own technology against them. She showed them a design for a new type of weapon. We can build quantum disruption bombs, devices that sever the connection between machines and make them fight each other instead of us. Mira studied the designs. It might work, but we'll need to test it in battle. We'll get our chance soon, Admiral Yun said. Long-range sensors show machine activity near the barrier. They're probing for weak points. Subin smiled grimly. Let them come. The Galactic Council spent thousands of years hiding behind their wall. We've spent 3 years learning how to fight. When those machines break through, they're going to get a surprise. Over the following weeks, human space transformed into a fortress. Factories that had been building homes and schools now produced weapons and armor. Scientists who had been studying alien plants now studied alien technology. Children who had been learning to live on new worlds now learned to defend those worlds. The aliens had exiled humanity because they were afraid of human unpredictability. Now that unpredictability would be tested against an enemy that had never faced anything like it. The machines had conquered thousands of species. They had perfected the art of war over millions of years. They were logical, efficient, and unstoppable. But they had never fought humans before. And humans did not fight fair. They fought to win. When the barrier finally fell and the machines poured into the inner galaxy, they expected to find the same frightened aliens they had always conquered. Instead, they found something new, something that should not exist according to their calculations. They found humans who refused to be conquered. The war that followed would determine whether biological life had a future in the galaxy. And for the first time in eons, the machines faced an enemy that might actually be more dangerous than they were. 5 years had passed since the Exodus began. Admiral Chang Ho Yun stood on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable, watching the death of a star system. Through the viewing screen, he could see the machines at work. Massive sphere ships surrounded the dying sun, draining its energy to power their endless reproduction. What had once been a system with 12 planets was now nothing but raw materials being converted into more machines. How many systems have they taken this week? He asked. 17, replied his tactical officer. The barrier failed completely 3 months ago. The machines are spreading faster than the Galactic Council can retreat. Chang Ho nodded grimly. The aliens who had exiled humanity were now begging for help. Their mighty civilization was crumbling as the machines swept through their space like a plague of metal locusts. Sir, the communications officer called out. We're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. It's marked as urgent diplomatic priority. Put it through. The main screen changed to show a familiar face. It was Yujin Kang, the alien who had served as a translator during humanity's early contact with the Council. She looked older now. and terrified. "Admiral Yun," she said, her voice shaking, "I bring greetings from the Galactic Council and a formal request for military assistance." Chang Ho almost laughed. "5 years ago, your council voted to exile my entire species. You called us too dangerous to exist among civilized beings. Now you want our help?" Yujin's alien features showed deep shame. "We were wrong. Terribly wrong. We thought we could protect ourselves by hiding behind the barrier. We thought if we stayed quiet and small, the machines would ignore us. How's that working out for you?" "We've lost 300 systems in the past month," Yujin admitted. "Our fleets cannot slow them down. Our weapons barely scratch their hulls. Every day, billions more of our people die or disappear." Chang Ho studied the alien diplomat. He felt no satisfaction in her people's suffering. But he also remembered the day they had voted to cage humanity like dangerous animals. "What makes you think we can do any better?" he asked. "Because you're the only ones who have managed to hurt them," Yujin said. "The Battle of Kepler 7. Your forces destroyed an entire machine fleet." Chang Ho remembered that battle. It had been humanity's first real test against the machines. The enemy had expected an easy victory against a young species with primitive weapons. Instead, they had encountered human tactics they could not predict and human weapons they could not counter. "We got lucky," Chang Ho said. "No," Yujin replied. "You got creative. The machines operate on logic and predictable patterns. They cannot adapt to chaos and random behavior. Traits that we feared in your species." She paused, struggling with her next words. "Admiral, our psychologists have studied the machines for months. They conclude that the machines' greatest weakness is their inability to handle unpredictable opponents. They analyze, calculate, and predict based on known patterns. When faced with something truly random, they malfunction." "And you think humans are random enough?" "We think humans are the most chaotically creative species the galaxy has ever produced. You adapt faster than any civilization we have studied. You innovate under pressure. You refuse to accept defeat even when logic says you should surrender." Chang Ho considered this. It was true that humans fought differently than other species, where aliens relied on proven tactics and established strategies. Humans improvised. They took crazy risks. They tried impossible plans that sometimes worked for no logical reason. "What exactly are you asking for?" Chang Ho said. Yujin took a deep breath. "Full alliance, shared technology, combined fleets, and..." She hesitated. "Leadership of all military operations." That got Chang Ho's attention. "You want humans to command alien forces?" "Our commanders think too much like the machines," Yujin admitted. "Logical, predictable, conservative. We need leaders who think like humans, wild, unpredictable, aggressive." Before Chang Ho could respond, his tactical officer interrupted. "Sir, we have incoming ships. It's the Council fleet." On the screen, a massive armada emerged from Quantum Fold. Hundreds of alien warships arranged in perfect formation. They were beautiful vessels, elegant and efficient. They were also completely unsuited for the kind of war they were about to fight. "Impressive," Chang Ho said. "But do they know how to use those ships in a real fight?" As if to answer his question, the machines attacked. 3 sphere ships materialized near the alien fleet. They were outnumbered 50-1, but they moved with perfect coordination. Chang Ho watched in amazement as the alien commanders made every mistake possible. They formed neat battle lines. They followed established engagement protocols. They tried to fight a clean, organized battle. The machines cut through them like a knife through paper. "Sir," his weapons officer called out, "should we assist?" Chang Ho watched alien ships explode in perfect spheres of light. Each death was beautiful and useless. "Launch all fighters. Begin quantum disruption bombing. Target the central sphere." The human fleet moved like a pack of wolves. No formations, no predictable patterns. Each ship attacked from a different angle using different tactics. Some launched missiles, others rammed at high speed. A few actually teleported inside the enemy shields. The machines tried to calculate human behavior and failed. Their perfect coordination became a weakness as conflicting instructions flooded their network. "Disruption bombs away," the weapons officer reported. The bombs detonated inside the machine fleet, severing their quantum connections. Suddenly, the sphere ships were not a unified force, but individual units that could not communicate. Human fighters swarmed over them like angry insects. Where alien weapons had barely dented their armor, human quantum cannons tore through their hulls. In 10 minutes, all 3 sphere ships were debris. Eugen stared at the tactical display in shock. "How did you do that? Our fleets have been fighting them for months without a single victory." "We cheated," Chang-Ho said simply. "Your people fight with honor and follow the rules of war. The machines fight with logic and perfect efficiency. We fight to win, whatever it takes." On the screen, the surviving alien ships were regrouping. Their formations were ragged now, their neat lines broken. Some of their captains were actually trying to copy human tactics. "Admiral," Eugen said quietly, "on behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally request that you take command of all Allied forces." Chang-Ho looked at his bridge crew. They were young humans who had grown up in exile, knowing that the galaxy had rejected their species. Now that same galaxy needed them to survive. "Terms," he said. "Name them." "Full access to all Council technology, shared intelligence on machine, capabilities. And after this war is over, humanity gets a permanent seat on the Council with full voting rights." "And if we refuse?" Chang-Ho smiled coldly. "Then you can fight the machines alone. See how that works out for you." Eugen was quiet for a long moment. Chang-Ho could hear urgent discussions in the background as council members debated. Finally, she returned to the screen. "The council accepts your terms. Admiral Yun, you now have command of 6,000 ships and the defense of 47 species." "No," Chang-Ho corrected her. "I have command of the greatest military force in galactic history, and I intend to use it to remind the machines why biological life has survived this long." He turned to his fleet commanders. "Begin Phase 1 of Operation Retribution. I want quantum disruption platforms deployed in every major system. Start retrofitting alien ships with human weapons. And someone get me Prime Minister Haewon John. We're going to need more ships." On Earth, Prime Minister Haewon John received the transmission with grim satisfaction. She had been preparing for this moment since the day of exile. Human shipyards throughout the Outer Rim went into full production mode. "How many ships does the Admiral need?" she asked. "All of them," came the reply. "Every ship we can build, every weapon we can make, every human willing to fight." Haewon smiled. "Tell the Admiral he'll have his fleet, and tell him that Earth remembers who our real friends are. The galaxy had exiled humanity for being too dangerous. Now they would learn just how dangerous humans could be when they had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The machines had conquered thousands of species, but they had never fought a species that viewed impossible odds as a personal challenge. The war was about to begin. In earnest. 7 years had passed since humanity's exile began. General Dong-Hyun Kim stood in the command center of the war station Defiance, staring at a map of the galaxy that showed the final battle to come. Red zones marked areas controlled by the machines. They covered nearly half the galaxy now. Blue zones showed Allied forces, a mixture of human and alien fleets fighting desperately to slow the machine advance. And at the center of it all, marked in black, was the galactic core. The machines are pulling back, reported his intelligence officer. All major fleets are converging on the core systems. Dong-Hyun nodded. After 2 years of bitter fighting, the machines had learned to respect human tactics. They no longer attacked in predictable patterns. They no longer assumed easy victory. But they were still machines, and machines followed their programming. They're protecting something, he said. Something at the galactic center that they consider more important than conquering new systems. Dr. Ye-Yun Cho looked up from her analysis station. She was humanity's leading expert on machine psychology, a field that had not existed before. The war began. Her job was to understand how artificial minds thought and find ways to break them. It's their central network, she said. We've suspected it for months. Every machine in the galaxy is connected to a master intelligence at the core. If we can destroy that connection, the entire machine civilization will collapse. Dong-hyun studied the tactical display. The galactic core was protected by natural hazards that had kept explorers away for millions of years. Black holes, neutron stars, radiation storms that could kill entire fleets. It was the most dangerous region of space known to exist. How do we get past their defenses? He asked. We don't, said a new voice. Test pilot Ji-Hoon Park entered the command center, still wearing his flight suit. He was the best pilot humanity had ever produced, a man who could fly through asteroid fields at near-light speed and make it look easy. Explain, Dong-hyun said. Ji-Hoon activated a holographic display showing a new type of ship. It was smaller than a fighter, barely large enough for one person. But it was covered with quantum drives and stealth generators. It's called the Long Shot, he said. A one-man infiltration craft. It can quantum fold through the defenses without being detected. Get close enough to the central network to plant a quantum virus. Dr. Ye-Yun stepped forward. I've been working on that virus for 6 months. It's designed to exploit the machine's greatest weakness, their inability to handle true randomness. The virus will inject pure chaos into their network. And then? Dong-hyun asked. Then every machine in the galaxy goes insane at the same time, she said with grim satisfaction. Dong-hyun looked at the ship design. It was obviously a suicide mission. The pilot would have to fly through the most dangerous space in the galaxy, past millions of machine defenders, to reach a target that might not even exist. I'll do it, Ji-Hoon said simply. It's a one-way trip, Dong-hyun warned. Even if you succeed, there's no way out. Ji-Hoon shrugged. My whole species was supposed to be wiped out 7 years ago. Everything since then has been borrowed time. Besides, someone has to do it, and I'm the best pilot we have. Before Dong-hyun could respond, alarms began ringing throughout the station. The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission from Admiral Chang Ho-yoon, who was commanding the fleet operations from his flagship. General, the Admiral said, we have a problem. The aliens are demanding a voice in the final battle plan. They want joint command. Dong-hyun frowned. After 2 years of us saving their lives? What's their complaint now? They think the long-shot mission is too risky. They want to try a conventional assault with the combined fleet, which would fail completely and get everyone killed. That's what I told them. But they're threatening to withdraw their forces if we don't include them in the decision. Dong-hyun looked around the command center. It was staffed entirely by humans now. Alien officers had proven unable to adapt to the chaotic pace of the war. They thought too slowly, planned too carefully, and hesitated when quick action was needed. Tell the aliens they can join the attack or stay behind, he said. But the mission goes forward as planned. The transmission ended, and Dong-hyun turned back to Ji-Hoon. Are you sure about this? Absolutely, the pilot replied. But I have one request. I want to make the final approach manually. No computer assistance, no AI guidance, just human instinct and reflexes. Dr. Ye-Yun looked puzzled. Why? The computers can calculate the optimal approach path. Because the machines will expect that, Ji-Hoon said. They'll have prepared for every logical attack route, but they can't prepare for someone who flies by feel instead of calculation. Dong-hyun understood. It was the same principle that had made humans effective against the machines from the beginning. Aliens and machines both relied on logic and predictable patterns. Humans relied on intuition and creative chaos. "When do we launch?" he asked. "Now," Ji-hoon said. "The machines are still pulling back their fleets. We'll never have a better chance." An hour later, the Longshot launched from the war station. It was so small that it barely registered on sensors. Its quantum stealth system made it effectively invisible to machine detection. And its pilot was a human who had never met an impossible challenge he wouldn't attempt. Ji-hoon flew through the outer defenses without being detected. The machines had set up massive sensor networks, but they were looking for large fleets and conventional attack patterns. A single tiny ship flying. An erratic course slipped through their coverage. As he approached the galactic core, space became increasingly dangerous. Radiation levels that would kill most life forms in seconds. Gravitational fields that could tear ships apart. And everywhere, the twisted wreckage of ancient civilizations that had tried to explore this region and failed. "Still with me, Defiance?" He radioed back to the command center. "We're here," Dong-hyun replied. "Quantum connection is stable. How does it look out there?" "Like the inside of a nightmare," Ji-hoon said, "but I'm making good time." He flew past a neutron star that spun so fast it created a lighthouse effect, sending beams of deadly radiation sweeping through space. He dodged debris from planets that had been shredded by tidal forces. He threaded his way between black holes that bent space itself into impossible shapes. And finally, he saw it. The machine core was beyond anything the humans had imagined. It was not a single structure, but an entire artificial system. Millions of sphere ships arranged in perfect geometric patterns around a central construct the size of a star. Energy flowed between them in streams of pure information, creating a web of connection that linked every machine in the galaxy. "I see the target," Ji-hoon reported. "It's beautiful, in a terrifying way." "Can you reach it?" Dong-hyun asked. "Maybe. But there are defense platforms everywhere, automated weapons that react faster than anything alive. I'll have to get creative." Ji-hoon studied the defensive grid, looking for patterns. The machines had arranged their weapons in perfect mathematical formations, each platform covering specific angles and distances. It was a flawless design with only one weakness. It assumed attackers would behave rationally. Instead of looking for gaps in the coverage, Ji-hoon flew directly at the heaviest concentration of weapons. He twisted and turned randomly, changing direction for no logical reason. His path made no sense from a tactical standpoint, which meant the machines could not predict where he would go next. Weapons fire filled space around him. Energy beams and plasma bolts and quantum missiles tried to track his movements. But they were always one step behind, firing at where he had been instead of where he was going. "Almost there," he said, preparing to release the virus. The central construct loomed ahead of him, a massive sphere of crystalline material that pulsed with the thoughts of billions of machines. Ji-hoon could feel its presence pressing against his mind, trying to understand what he was and why he was here. He released Dr. Ye-yun's virus directly into the construct's data stream. For a moment, nothing happened. Then chaos erupted across the galaxy. Every machine in existence suddenly received conflicting instructions. Attack commands mixed with retreat orders. Navigation data became random numbers. Coordination protocols collapsed into meaningless noise. The sphere ships around the galactic core began firing on each other. Defense platforms turned their weapons on friendly targets. The perfect order that had defined machine civilization for millions of years dissolved into complete pandemonium. "It's working!" Dong-hyun shouted over the radio. "Machine fleets throughout the galaxy are going dark. They're destroying themselves." Ji-hoon smiled as his tiny ship was caught in the destruction of the central construct. He had always wondered what it would feel like to save an entire galaxy. Now he knew. The explosion that consumed the machine core sent a shockwave through space and time itself. When it faded, the galactic center was empty except for cooling debris and the fading echoes of a billion machine minds going silent forever. 6 months later, representatives from every surviving species gathered on New Terra for the signing of the Galactic Accords. The war was over, the machines were gone, and humanity had gone from exiled outcasts to the saviors of all biological life.